Sooner or later, a hero will appear, and all the pain and suffering that his complacency and conceit have caused the world will be well known to him, and the one and only hero, Natsuki Subaru. The prince presents ReZero KARA HAJIMERU ISEKAI SEIKATSU. In a few words, a tale of a hero. From the beginning, his entire trajectory in a humanized way, an initially pathetic young man becoming a great hero, capable of carrying the dream of others. ReZero tells you the chronicles of another world, but also the tale of Natsuki Subaru. This is a documentary of ReZero arcs from 1 to 5, season 3 is ready to start, and I will not only recap this tale, but also analyze it with you. Together, let's do it. ReZero is different from the others in the isekai genre. It does things that others normally don't, and although it's a fantasy light novel story, it's dark and psychological, but deep down, it's a great remnant of hope and determination, with the complex and very well created, in a masterful way, Natsuki Subaru. At various times in the novel, Subaru's situation is explored. Restarting life in another world is one of the most acclaimed light novel series today, known for its narrative, deep, rich characters development and the exploration of complex themes. Across the first 5 arcs, which was the ones I've read so far, the story intricately weaves tales of sacrifice, psychological suffering, political intrigue, and the quest of redemption. Arc 1, where Subaru Natsuki, an ordinary high school student from modern-day Japan, is abruptly transported to one strange and familiar fantasy world. No warnings, no explanation. One moment he is living a convenient story, and the next he is standing in the midst of a bustling medieval market. Confused and alone, Subaru tries to make sense of his surroundings, but things quickly take a dark turn. With no money, Alice, or idea of where he is, Subaru soon becomes a target. A group of thugs ambushes him, and just as he is about to meet a grim fate, a mysterious figure intervenes. She is a silver-haired half-elf, with a presence both graceful and commanding. She doesn't offer her name, nor does she ask for gratitude. Her only concern is the stolen insignia she's been searching for, a symbol of great importance. Subaru is immediately captivated by her beauty and her strong-willed nature. Despite the fact that he owes her nothing, he feels an unshakable pull toward helping her. Desperately wanting to repay her for saving his life, Subaru volunteers to assist in her search for the stolen insignia, even though he knows nothing of this world, its people, and the dangers that lurk in the shadows. The mysterious girl reluctantly accepts his help, and together they begin their quest. However, Subaru quickly realizes that this world is far more perilous than he could have imagined. In his attempt to hide the half-elf, both he and his newfound companion fall into deadly traps. Darkness. He enters a mysterious house at night, and as he walks slowly through the darkness, he encounters the body of the young half-elf girl. Moments later, he is also stabbed and he begins to die slowly. His last wish was a promise. "I promise I'll save you no matter what." Subaru experienced his first brutal death, but instead of fading into oblivion, he awakens moments later, alive, unharmed, and back at a previous point in time, just before the events that led to his death. This is Subaru's first encounter with return by death, the mysterious power that allows him to come back to life after dying, resetting to a specific moment in the past. At first it seems like an opportunity for a fresh start, a second chance to correct his mistakes, but as Subaru soon learns, his ability is as much a curse as it is as a gift. Worse yet, Subaru cannot tell anyone about his ability. An unseen force threatens to crush his heart whenever he tries to reveal the secret. However, Subaru still tries to save this girl, and in the end he managed to succeed. The girl asks, "What do you want for? Why do you help me?" And Subaru answers, I just wanted to know your name. And that's how we know the half-elf we helped. Her name is Emilia, and that's the end of the first arc. Arc 2. Subaru's journey continues as he accompanies Emilia to the Grand Roswaal mansion, where he is offered a refuge. Things seem peaceful at first, with the mansion's eccentric staff welcoming him, especially two maids, Han and Hen, who tend to his every need. Grateful to the reprieve from danger, Subaru hopes for a fresh start. However, the tranquility is short-lived. Subaru soon finds himself waking up in the mansion after unexplained death. Confused and disoriented, he realizes that his return by death has activated once again. But this time, there is no immediate enemy or danger to explain what's happening. Each time Subaru resets, tries to piece together the puzzle, but the answers elude him. Strange occurrences begin to unfold in the mansion, and Subaru grows increasingly paranoid as he senses an unseen threat lurking in the shadows. With every loop, Subaru's trust in those around him begins to erode. Subaru keeps dying. Ran and Hen remains kind and dutiful, but Subaru can't shake the feeling that something isn't right. The deaths continue, each more mysterious and gruesome than the last, and Subaru finds himself spiraling into despair as he searches for the source of the danger. Finally, after many resets and close encounters with death, Subaru pieced together the truth. Hen, one of the maids he had grown to trust, is behind the killings. It becomes clear that she views Subaru as a threat to the mansion and its inhabitants. Heartbroken and betrayed, Subaru is forced to confront the fact that the danger had been close to him all along. As Arc 2 draws to a close, Subaru faces him directly, determined to understand her motivations and stop the endless cycle of death. Through perseverance and a deep understanding of those around him, Subaru finally finds a path forward, resolving the immediate threat but leaving many questions about Hen, her past, and the forces influencing her actions. But Hen finally manages to accept Subaru as who he is, and they start a new relationship together, now believing in each other more often. One of the great wonders of ReZero is how its mystery and suspense are created. The author has a fantastic touch, especially since much of the yearly series is entirely from Subaru's point of view. It's something I've never seen in any other story, making ReZero a truly mystical experience to read. For example, the series doesn't show the villains plotting to kill Subaru like in average shonen, where we often see the villain's perspective. Instead, we just witness Subaru dying suddenly, like in the first episode, or in those moments where everyone has been killed and Subaru stumbles upon the scene confused. His bewilderment is passed on to the reader because we have no idea what happened either. This mysterious dramatic storytelling is one of the strongest positive aspects of the work. Take for example the sudden arrival of Witch Cult in Arc 3, killing Subaru when everyone around the mansion is dead, and we have no clue how it happened. Or in Arc 2 when Subaru simply dies catly, and it's later revealed that Hen was behind it. This moment is incredibly well written. It's a unique storytelling touch that sets this series apart, just as the beginning of this next arc. Arc 3, Truth of Zero. After surviving the chaos of Arc 2, Subaru returns to Roswaal Mansion expecting a period of peace. However, he is met with repeated tragedies, witnessing brutal death at the hand of mysterious forces. Without understanding who or what is behind the massacres, Subaru dies again and again, resetting each time with his return by death ability. These eerie deaths plunge Subaru into confusion and despair as he watches the people he cares about, and Emilia and others, die without understanding the cause. Each reset pushes him closer to the breaking point as he tries to uncover the forces behind the attacks that don't know where they are or where they come from. During this arc, Subaru's relationship grows more strained, particularly with Julius. Prideful knight, Subaru's recklessness leads to a humiliating duel where he is easily defeated by Julius, embarrassing himself in front of a crowd. This duel sets the stage of a rivalry between Subaru and Julius that will play a key role later in the arc. Subaru, feeling humiliated and powerless, struggles to find his place, adding tension to the already overwhelming chaos of the story at the moment. As Subaru continues to reset, to die again and again, he begins to piece together what the true enemy behind these horrors is: the witch cult, led by the deranged and terrifying Betelgeuse Romane County. Betelgeuse is obsessed with Emilia, viewing her as a reincarnation of the Witch of Envy, and his group is responsible for the massacres Subaru keep encountering. Subaru encounters with Betelgeuse are horrifying, and each death chips away at his sanity. In one attempt to flee, he and Hen are killed in a shocking scene that still haunts me and probably other people too. Subaru's despair deepens as he fails time and time again to save those he cares about. And then we finally reach around episodes 14 to 16. Subaru's psychological state is at its lowest. After witnessing so much death and suffering, Subaru runs away with Hen, seemingly giving up on everything. Episode 15 becomes a turning point as Subaru and Hen have an emotional conversation in which she declares her wavering support for him no matter what. The relationship has finally reached this far, after all through the things they went in Arc 2. It's really interesting here, but just when it seems like Subaru might have found some solace, the episode delivers one of the most brutal twists in the first season. Subaru and Hen are suddenly attacked, and in a horrifying final moment, Subaru is decapitated, his head falling from his body, and the credits of the episode starts to roll. This shocking scene marks one of the most memorable and disturbing moments in the entire series. What makes this moment ever more chilling is how it connects with the events later in Arc 4. Subaru gets a brief glimpse of this future, where Henyard finds the manifestation of Puck, but let's continue to Arc 3. Subaru's psychological and emotional state is complicated, but as we see throughout the story, what best defines him is his inferiority complex. The traits of this complex include low self-esteem, lack of self-love, constant comparison, high sensitivity, constant search for recognition, and defensive behavior. Throughout several moments in the novel, we can see all these traits. At this point in the novel, what stands out the most is his search for recognition and his high sensitivity. Subaru knew he was useless in matters like politics or contracts, which is exactly what Emilia and the Mansion members were working on during Arc 3, where the goal was for Emilia to win the royal selection. However, with determination and Subaru's abilities, he thought he could still help Emilia, and by helping her, he would gain her recognition. But he didn't just want a mere recognition, he wanted Emilia to understand that things would only go right for her if he were present. The novel explored these elements in depth, his inferiority complex and the distorted way he viewed Emilia. This mindset persists throughout all of Arc 3 and even halfway into Arc 4. It's simply incredible how well this character was written. It's all told, spectacularly his selfishness and how he saw the heroine Emilia in a distorted way. Things would only work out for her if I was there. This was the protagonist of our series. Although intelligent and strategic, he was extremely emotional and his psychological side was very weak. The story will teach you how Subaru faced these problems in an extremely detailed way, everything that went through Subaru's head, and yes, is the best character of the series. The author was so determined to write Subaru in a most perfect way that the first 4 arcs are exclusively character development and a large part of them are experiencing the protagonist's mind. From Arc 4, a transition will begin. That is, the writer will go beyond exploring Subaru, actually starting to develop the world he created, which had the potential since the beginning. That's why there are certain moments in Arc 3 where Subaru is actually happy when things are going wrong and Emilia is in danger. Exactly, he's happy because when Emilia is in danger, it means he can help and prove his war. The harsh truth is that Subaru wasn't thinking about Emilia at all, he was thinking about himself. To Subaru, Emilia was just a means to achieve his own sense of value. Is it horrible? Yes. Is it bizarre? It's also yes. But that's exactly what the author wanted to convey, and honestly, he succeeded. Subaru's mental state continues to deteriorate as he experiences failure after failure. By this point, he has had multiple times, witnessing his friends die and losing hope. In a moment of despair, Subaru gives up and runs away with Hen, choosing to escape the horrors of his situation instead of facing them. It's here, in episode 18, that Hen delivers one of the most powerful and health-filled speeches of the entire series. Hen confesses her love for Subaru, telling him that even though he feels like a failure, she believes in him. She speaks of the future she dreams of, a simple and happy life where they can be together. Hen's belief in Subaru was unwavering, and he was hitching in his darkest moments. She tells Subaru, "You are my hero," a statement that shakes Subaru to his core. This speech changed the entire course of the arc. Subaru was on the verge of giving up. He's revitalized by Hen's love and belief in him. He was given the strength to stand up and fight again, not just for himself but for the people he cares about. This is the turning point where Subaru gains a resolve to defeat Betelgeuse and save Emilia. Now, Hen or Emilia? If you think his hero is bad because of Subaru rejected him, sorry to inform you, but this isn't waifu war. It's the tale of a hero. There are monologues within the work explaining that even Subaru loves the two characters but prefers Emilia. Subaru is forever grateful to Hen, the girl who saved him. Hen is as most important as Emilia for Subaru. He doesn't compare them, and you two shouldn't. With renewed determination, Subaru formulates a plan to defeat both the Witch God and the legendary White Whale, a massive memory-devouring beast. The White Whale presence has haunted the world for centuries, making it a legendary monster feared by all. This battle is not just about defeating a fearsome creature, but about overcoming a symbol of despair that has skimmed the lives and minds of countless individuals. Wilhelm is an older swordsman, but one whose skills are unparalleled. His calm and disciplined exterior hides a deep burning desire for vengeance. The White Whale killed his beloved wife, Theresia van Astrea, many years ago, and ever since Wilhelm has lived with the pain of her loss. This battle isn't just about defeating a legendary creature, it's about avenging the woman he loved. There is no time for weaknesses. Stop dreaming, and we'll have our holy meeting one day in heaven. Throughout the battle, Wilhelm's memories of Theresia are revealed in emotional flashbacks. We learn that Theresia, despite being known as the master swordsman, wanted to live a peaceful life. She was a woman with incredible strength and skill, yet she desired nothing more than a simple existence with Wilhelm. And these flashbacks gives us a glimpse into the life Wilhelm had lost when the White Whale took Theresia from him. Subaru, Wilhelm and their allies fight with everything they have. The pain of losing Theresia fuels his every strike, and as the White Whale finally falls, is a cathartic victory, especially for Wilhelm. This battle stands out as one of the arc's emotional high points, showing that even against overwhelming odds, Subaru and his friends can triumph. The focus on Wilhelm and Theresia's relationship during the White Whale battle shows how ReZero doesn't limit its emotional depth to just Subaru. The series gives secondary characters their own stories, struggles, and growth, and Wilhelm's arc is a perfect example of that. His quest for revenge and the love he had for Theresia becomes central to the emotional weight of this arc. This character development doesn't end with Wilhelm, as his hero continues to give depth to many secondary characters, such as Crush, Ferris, and later in Arc 4, characters like Garfiel, Frederica, or especially Beatrice. These characters are not just there to support Subaru's journey, they each have their own motivations, challenges, and growth. And then, the great climax. Having defeated the last enemy, there was still one goal for our hero. Each passing second, His sense of desperation and urgency only grew to one final stride to protect the one he loved. Subaru, having experienced so many visits and death, finally pieced together a plan to outwit Betelgeuse. This leads to the climax battle, where Subaru and Julius, the knight who once humiliated him, finally join forces. Julius, who initially looking down on Subaru, now sees him as an equal. I hate you, but I know you are strong. My suffering is a testament to that. You are the greatest. Then, with all my soul, I shall live up to that. But Subaru continues. Sharing a collective body with you is repulsive, so let's get this over with. And then Julius concludes, yes, let's. With your eyes, I shall cut him down, my friend. Natsuki Subaru. Together, Subaru and Julius defeat Betelgeuse, ending the immediate threat of the witch cult. With Betelgeuse vanquished, Subaru finally confesses his love to Emilia. This confession is a significant moment for Subaru, as his love for Emilia has guided many of his actions. This is the end of Arc 3, and this is the power of ReZero with its storytelling. This is my favorite light novel of all time. Thank you, Tapei Nagatsuki. This video is a love letter to ReZero. Arc 4, The Everlasting Contract. It shifts the focus from external threats to internal struggles as Subaru, Emilia and their allies travel to the Sanctuary, a hiding location tied to Roswaal's past. This arc is so huge, and this video is already too long, but I don't care. I will make this video a masterpiece of my channel, so I persevere to the very end of everything I ever read about the series. The Sanctuary is home to a group of demi-humans located with the boundaries of the Emilia forest in the kingdom of Lugunica, trapped by a magical barrier, and Subaru is forced to confront the trials that await inside. This arc stands as the pivotal turning point, a journey through pain, self-discovery and redemption that forever alters the world and its characters. Set against in the backdrop, Sanctuary, a place where time, trauma and memories converge. This arc unravels deep emotional layers with each character. They are forced to confront their past, their regrets, their identities in ways that push them to the brink but also shape them into something new. It all begins with Subaru and Emilia's arrival at the Sanctuary. Emilia, who has always hidden her insecurities behind a veil of politeness and optimism, is pushed to her breaking point by the trials, the memories of her past, the connection to Pandora, her freezing of the forest, and the horrors that followed, threatening to consume her. But more than that, is her fear of being hated for her heritage that shatters her resolve. In the trials, she is forced to watch her past unfold, reliving every regret and every moment of isolation. Emilia grows through these trials. She doesn't have to be perfect, as she doesn't have to carry the burden of the world alone. With Subaru's support and belief in her, she eventually faced the final trial, not as the insecure girl she once was, but as someone ready to accept herself. Another deep and tragic thread throughout Arc 4 is the revelation of Roswaal's century-long obsession with bringing back his beloved teacher, Echidna. He manipulates the events in the Sanctuary to drive Subaru into a corner, believing that Subaru's suffering and determination will ultimately align with his own goal. Roswaal, who views people as mere pieces on a chessboard, tells Subaru that loss and pain are inevitable in achieving his goals. Roswaal's relationship with Han, a girl whose life he saved but who sees through his manipulations. Bro, it becomes crucial emotional core to the arc, to the moment where she suddenly confesses to him. She loves him, but she also knows that his obsession with the past prevents him from seeing what truly matters. And then there is Beatrice, the 1,000-year-old spirit trapped in the library of forbidden books. Beatrice's stance has been defined by solitude and duty. Bound to the Sanctuary and the Forbidden Library for over 4 centuries, she has been isolated from the world. her only company being the countless forbidden tomes she guards. Her prolonged confinement has fostered a sense of melancholy and fear of eternal loneliness. Beatrice's interactions with Subaru was pivotal in exploring her inner turmoil. Her eternal life, marked by a circle of solitude and repetitive routines, has led to a deep-seated fear of the eventual separation from those she cares about. This fear is brought to the forefront during her conversations with Subaru, especially when Subaru's persistence in trying to help her confront her fears become a significant emotional one-chore for her. And then we reach for me one of the most emotional moments of Arc 4.
俺を選べベアトリス。誰かに外に連れ出してほしいから、お前はいつも扉の前に座ってたんじゃないのか。
The guilt that made the girl hesitate, her sense of shame toward casting promises aside, he'd make it so she could pin those things on the selfish high-handedness of the human known as Subaru Natsuki, so that this girl would never cry alone again. So she said, "Even though you eventually leave me," Subaru answers, "nothing lasts forever. The future you are afraid of will definitely come someday. You live forever, so we'll probably part ways at one point or another. You and I haven't tasted early enough to life to give up on all the fun we'll have together. Let's build up so many memories that we can blow away all that fear. We'll do so much that you can make up for the 4 lonely centuries you spent living here. To someone like you who live forever. Maybe this time you spend with me will be one brief moment. If that's how it's gonna be, then I'll carry my moment right into my soul. I will be so vivid that nothing will fade when it comes to Subaru Natsuki." Man, this part kind of reminded me of Frieren with Himmel a little bit, not gonna lie. Well, anyways, it's this choice, this insistence on creating new paths rather than following the burdens of destiny that breaks Bertie's chains. She no longer needs to wait for someone predetermined. She can choose her own future. And then, the fight against the great habit is a desperate one, but Subaru with Beatrice by his side devises a plan to trap him in an isolated space, effectively removing his threat from the world forever. As they succeed, the weight of the victory doesn't wash away the trauma of everything they've endured, but it does see now a new beginning. Subaru's ability to triumph not by brute strength, but through perseverance and cleverness reflects how far he's come since the beginning of the arc. When the Sanctuary's curse is finally lifted and the barriers fall, each character emerges a forever changed. This arc changed ReZero forever. Garfiel, who had long resisted change due to his trauma of abandonment, finds peace in facing his mother's memory. Emilia, once haunted by her past and her insecurity, stands tall, ready to embrace her role in the kingdom. Roswaal, broken by Echidna rejection and Subaru's willingness to succumb to despair, is left to reflect on the destructive nature of his obsession. As for Subaru, his whole as Emilia Knights is now truly cemented. Their bond, forged in the fires of battle and trust, stands as a statement to their growth. They are no longer just two people fighting their individual battles. They are now partners, ready to face the future together. The Sanctuary arc isn't just a story of survival, it's a story of rebirth, where each character learns to confront their inner demons and take the first steps towards a new future. The world has changed, and so have they. And not only these two, but also what changed from now on was the story of ReZero forever. This arc changed everything. The title, The Everlasting Contract, is about binding promises, past traumas, and the struggle for personal redemption. It reflects both the magical contracts that influence their characters' lives and the enduring nature of the emotional and psychological burdens they must confront. Arc 5 stars that engrave history. The story returns to a more political focus as Subaru and his companions face new threats cheered to the royal selection in the Watergate city of Priestella, a city renowned for its unique architecture and grand matter ways. The candidates and the royal family as well, like Crush, Fanart, Felt and the others, are forced to cooperate as the witch cult continues its rampage. New archbishops emerge, each representing different deadly scenes, presenting fresh challenges for Subaru and his allies. This arc is a major action arc within ReZero, and it's the most different from all the others because it's definitely the first arc that focuses less on Subaru and more on the secondary characters. Now the Astrea family, on Theresia and Wilhelm. The Whale Man, the Arc 5 is the most emotional arc of the series and the only one that almost truly moved me. Man, Tappy didn't just leave Wilhelm character's background just for the whale, but instead built an entire plot related to him and his family, connecting several characters in this plot. Amazing. From the moment the loop begins, Subaru has only 15 minutes to solve everything. Exactly. This time the loop doesn't start days or weeks before the events, but rather 15 minutes before. Tappei Nagatsuki manages to create a narrative that is both dark and hopeful, with both elements being fantastic. That's a huge accomplishment. You need to be an awesome writer to pull it off. The character Natsuki Subaru finally chooses his path. We've been always seeing the world through Subaru's eyes, where he suffered, hit rock bottom, endured countless traumatizing deaths, all to triumph in the end. What Arc 5 explores is the fact that Natsuki Subaru, in the eyes of everyone else, is a great victor. I mean, pay close attention. He returned from death and always solved the problems with his brilliant strategies. No one knows what he went through or the hell he lived through. From the perspective of all the characters, as long as they are with Subaru, everything will turn out fine. I mean, fair enough. In other words, a huge responsibility has been placed on Natsuki Subaru's shoulder, who is now treated by everyone as a great hero. But it's not just that, he also carries the dream of others. Arc 5 will show you a different Subaru to the reader, and also to viewers of the anime Season 3. A truly developed character will now undeniably a hero that carries not only his own dreams, but also the heroic dreams of others. For Emilia, Arc 5 is a turning point in her journey toward becoming a true leader. She starts to take more responsibility for the people around her, building on her experience from Arc 4. As a royal selection candidate, she's forced to prove her worth not only to those around her but to herself. Her compassion and sense of justice are key motivations for her actions throughout the arc. But the true highlight of this arc lies with the Astrea family, where the spotlight truly shines. This arc is not just an action-packed narrative, but a profound exploration of love, loss, and redemption centered around Wilhelm van Astrea and his late wife, Theresia van Astrea. This cloaked figure who exudes an aura of menace surprises everyone when her true identity is revealed. Theresia van Astrea, the former sword saint and Wilhelm's loved wife, long thought dead. The shock of seeing her alive and fighting for the wrong side is devastating, especially for Wilhelm, who had spent decades mourning her loss. Theresia, also known as the Sword Saint, was a powerful and revered figure, but she never desired the title or the life that came with it. Despite her legendary skill with a sword, Theresia longed for peace, yet life, free from the burden of battle. She saw the world as a necessary tool, but it was one she wanted to put down, a contrast to Wilhelm, who embraced the path of the warrior wholeheartedly, yet their love blossomed despite these differences. Or perhaps because of them. After falling in love with her, Wilhelm, once a proud swordsman known as the Sword Demon, made the unthinkable decision to lay down his blade for Theresia. He gave up the path of combat, all of his deep love and respect for her, knowing that his dream was to live in a world without a sword. The simplicity of their life after marriage was what Theresia had always dreamed of. They spent together, free from the horrors of war and the expectations of the dirty. Wilhelm loved Theresia not for her power but for her heart, her gentleness, and her wish to live without the burden of bloodshed. The love story was not about the battles they fought, but the peace they found in each other. Tragically, the life they was loving to live was not last. Theresia ultimately met her end in battle, and Wilhelm was left to carry the weight of her death. Feeling that he failed to protect her for decades, he lived with the grief and the regret of losing the woman he loved. And there was one thing he's always regretted too. He was never able to tell Theresia that he loved her. He always regretted it. Even after they got married and had each other, he was never able to express his true feelings to her. But in the final battle, the one that will conclude all of Arc 5, with its grandeur and epicness, on a battlefield where even those focused on winning the elections and claiming the throne came together and united against a common cause, it was after the hero Natsuki Subaru made his decision to follow the girl he loved. The final dialogue between Theresia and Wilhelm, with Wilhelm finally ready to start what he always wanted and always regretted not saying. Finally, when Theresia was sane and was her last moments. I'm not good at talking, so I can't really express my thoughts well, and even having trouble with you. That's why in these past 20 years, not once have I a foolish person. She ended up saying it. Truly, what was this man saying? Did you really never realize? She extended her hand to the face that was in tears. Her body was terribly heavy. There really wasn't any strength left in her, but she put all the strength she had left into her fingers and wiped away the tears that were flowing down his face. You always said it. Your voice, your eyes, your attitude, your actions, they always had. Everything Wilhelm directed towards Theresia. This person always, above all, conveyed his heart clearly. I am with you, you are with me. And so that was enough. In love. The battlefield of the grandfather, father and grandson with that came to an end. A lady, a grandmother, a mother and a wife. With that, all the battlefields in the fight for the city of Pristella at Watergate were resolved. This is ReZero KARA HAJIMERU ISEKAI SEIKATSU, and these were all the first 5 arcs of the series. I've extracted as much content as I could. It's been years since I last read ReZero, so I'm not sure if I made any mistakes. In my opinion, it's the most beautiful story in the world of light novel, and of the best written of all time. It conveys every kind of emotion to me, and is a complete story. This is everything I've read and watched of ReZero, and soon I will continue with the later arc, but I'm still waiting for the right time to dive back into the series. This is the most ambitious video of my channel, and I don't know if it will succeed, but I'm satisfied with what I've shared and deeply moved by having experienced this work and knowing I will experience more in the future. The tale of a great hero, all for the promise he made to Emilia. Thank you Tappei Nagatsuki, thank you Natsuki Subaru, and thank you all of ReZero. For as long as we all can remember, we have believed in one thing. When we stopped believing in gods and fairy tales, we remained ever faithful to the idea that heroes do exist. That is why we tell stories of good and evil, to show people are just equally capable of being heroes as we are playing the villains. Heroes do much that gods never do. They protect, they heal, teach and inspire inner greatness that hide within us. That we need heroes, must never let them go extinct. As beautiful and amazing our existence is, it's also dangerous and cruel. As long as heroes remain, if they forever stand strong, the evil never truly triumph. They lose. Even the rarity that villains do win eventually. The triumph will be ours. Showdown.
君を救うためなら、俺は何度でも死ぬ。